Hello everyone, and thank you for joining today's Fireside Chat. We're thrilled to have and explore the powerful collaboration between Savenet and Ctera. In this session, we'll dive into the ways our partnership has not only fueled innovation and success, but also set the stage for future achievements and deployments. I'm honoured to be joined by Larkin from Savenet, a vital partner on our journey. So let's start with a quick introduction. Hi Larkin, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Pleasure to have you. So thanks very much. It would be great if you could start by telling us a bit about your role, the company, and how you've been working with us here at Ctera.
Yeah, so I'm one of the founders of Savenet Solutions. So we set up back in 2005. My current role at the moment is the Chief Technical Officer. And we set up Savenet, I suppose, to be a cloud-first company. I suppose the cloud was in its infancy back in 2005, and we wanted to help customers to embrace the internet and to use it for cost savings and for increased efficiencies through different cloud services. So the cloud services that we deliver today are cloud backup, cloud disaster recovery, cloud archiving, cloud migration, IT managed services, cybersecurity, especially around cloud services, and then our cloud file sync and share service.
And stuff. So as a founder, I understand that your time is very precious, so we really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. And it's really great to hear about Savenet and how you've been working with us here at Ctera. So with this in mind, how has partnering with Ctera inspired maybe any innovation within your organization, or has there been any like new service offerings or enhancements that's resulted from our partnership?
Yeah, sure. So around 2013, some of our customers were starting to embrace Dropbox. And it was a consumer grade product at the time, and there was some security issues with it. And it's kind of a shadow IT problem whereby IT departments weren't fully in control what data was coming in and out of the system or out of their networks. So some of our customers approached us to see if we came up with a solution, and that's when we found Ctera, and we brought Ctera to Ireland many years ago. And based on that, we built our cloud file sync and share SaaS service. And when we launched that initially, that was to give customers the ability to share data externally. So it was very much an extranet. And we got great adoption with our fintech customers, financial services, healthcare sector that wanted to share, I suppose, very confidential data externally. They didn't want to go through email, or they didn't want to make their SharePoint or their internal network made public. So we got a very good uptake initially for that. And then as customers wanted to move fully into the cloud, obviously Microsoft 365 has been around a long time, so putting your emails in there was one of the first things, but the biggest problem was files. SharePoint and OneDrive, 10 years ago were very clunky. Users weren't very happy with the speed of it and having to learn a new technology. So Ctera really filled that gap, whereby with the sync agents, we were able to basically move all of the data into the cloud portal, and the sync agents, and in some cases the cloud caching gateways, basically fully replaced the on-premise file server. So that was great. And then later on, as the enterprises wanted to move to the cloud, we found Ctera was able to fill that gap as well, where we could take petabytes of data and push it into the cloud and use their large cloud caching gateways to make the data available through different offices in different regions, and then laptops could have access to the same file system as well. So we were able to use the Ctera solution from an extranet solution to a small business solution to an enterprise scale solution, and we were able to price it accordingly. So it was fantastic that Ctera could basically help us grow as we grow, and help our customers as well as they went through their life cycle.
What size of customers would you say is the smallest on your platform that you've got there at the moment, Larkin?
Yeah, so the minimum we sell would be 3 users. So typically we'd have startup companies that just want to start straight in the cloud with email online and then their files, and we find Ctera and to come on board our SaaS platform it's a very simple setup. It takes about less than an hour to have the customer set up, and there's nothing for them to learn because Ctera is so simple. There's no new technologies really to learn. So yeah, so 3 users would be the smallest.
And you manage it on their behalf as well, I guess. So
Yeah, it's a full end-to-end managed service. With everything we do, also, we're an ISO 27001 certified company for over 10 years now. So everything we do is at that high level of security that we have to implement. And that gives our customers the peace of mind, especially with the fintech and the healthcare industry that we tend to deal with. So yeah, it's a fully end-to-end managed service that we provide. So we interact with Ctera on their behalf. If there's an issue, we basically take that. And we've been working with Ctera so long now that we can solve a lot of the issues ourselves at this stage. Not that there's many.
it's good to hear. Fantastic. And that leads me nicely on to my last question. So could you share maybe a standout success story or a major win that your organization has experienced through the partnership with Ctera?
Yeah, sure. So last year we won IT Project of the Year at the Irish Tech Excellence Awards. So these are the awards that are for the whole of Ireland tech industry, and basically every company in Ireland who has an IT department is allowed to enter, and that includes the big pharmaceutical companies, and then you got Intel and Microsoft and BT and like huge enterprises, all the way down to small scale startup companies that are coming up with some new and innovative service. It's basically open up to the whole country. So it's a big deal to win one. It's very hard to win these awards. And we've been lucky enough to win a few. And last year we won IT Project of the Year for a project that we did with Murphy Geospatial using the Ctera platform. So the Murphy, to give you some background on the project, I suppose Murphy Geospatial were or currently are a company with 300 to 400 users spread across 5 countries and 7 offices. They capture, collate geospatial data. So they're doing very complex scans of buildings, tunnels, shipyards, warehouses, and even using airplanes to scan topology and terrains. So the size of the data that they generate per project can be in the 10 to 20 terabytes per project. And then individual files that they generate can be up to a terabyte or even above a terabyte in size.
Okay.
So dealing with data of that size and scale, it puts huge pressure on VPN connections and data connections to try and move this data around. And as well as that, there's a lot of pressure on their storage systems, backup systems, disaster recovery systems. So from a challenges perspective, they found that when their engineers were on site and they needed to move the data into the office for it to be processed, they're having to use a VPN connection, and it can take a full weekend to upload that amount of data. And then the Dublin office may have to transfer the data to the UK office because there's engineers over there that need access to the data, and it's a site-to-site VPN, and that has to be pushed across, and that takes a lot of time. And then they end up with lots of different versions of the same data on different devices.
So they needed to collaborate, did they, between sites?
Yeah, they did. It did. Yeah. So the data in its raw form is pretty much useless. So they have complex systems that basically generate 3D models and graphics from this data. And then at the end of the process, they have to try and give the finished product then back to the customer, and that's usually transferring something very large over SFTP to the customer site as well, because just the sheer size and scale. So lots of challenges there with the data, mainly around bandwidth initially, and then the other challenges they're coming across was on the infrastructure. They were constantly running out of disk space. So on average, they were generating about 200 to 300 terabytes of new data per year. So you can see after 3 or 4 years, you're into the petabytes. You're above a petabyte of data quite quickly, and then you're having to maintain SAN environments in different offices in different countries, and then there's some offices are growing faster than others, and then there's duplicate data all over the place. So constantly running out of disk space was another challenge, and then trying to back the data up was another challenge, and then disaster recovery was another major challenge and a risk to the business. And it was actually affecting their ability to take on new customers, because their storage was a huge bottleneck. They could end up running out of storage and not being able to take on a new client and have to go through a procurement process to to replace a SAN or increase a SAN, and that was becoming a huge challenge. And then the IT budgets was, the IT manager was under scrutiny of why he was spending so much money, and yet he wasn't happy that he wasn't doing. Backups weren't good enough. Disaster recovery wasn't good enough. So he was under huge pressure from the business as well. So on the back of all these challenges, they ended up going out to tender.
Okay.
And it was a private tender process. We were the only Irish company that got involved, and we brought Ctera to the table. But then there was a couple of US companies that came on board for the tender process, which was Panzora and Asuni. And then there was another, I believe there's a couple of UK companies that were cloud specialists. I think they were coming up with trying to move, they come up with a project to move Murphy Geospatial fully into Azure and basically embrace virtual desktops and the Azure infrastructure.
Sorry, Larkin, was there a POC process with regards to the tender, or was it just a written tender?
Well, to be honest, like, I suppose to be fair, we engaged with Murphy early on in the process, and we were able to do some proof of concept early on. Now, it wasn't a huge amount really, but just to kind of showcase what Ctera could do. Yeah. And then we were able to help them showcase all of its features. So when the tender came out, they very much embraced all the features that Ctera could offer, and they basically wanted any other solution that was coming into the tender process to be able to match what Ctera could do or even beat it. So we ended up winning that tender in the end, and the feedback that we got from Murphy Geospatial was that none of the other competitors could match the features that Ctera could do, and also from a cost point, we were coming in about $500,000 cheaper than the nearest competitor over a 3-year period. So that was a major factor on the budget concerns as well.
So what was that based on? Was that based on the storage, or was that based on with regards
everything,
to
the full cost of ownership? So it went into the software licensing, the infrastructure costs, the storage costs, the replication, disaster recovery costs, and our full end-to-end managed service, where basically we manage the whole solution from end to end. So when that was all taken into account, we were still coming in like about $500,000 cheaper, and we were the only ones to offer a full end-to-end managed service as well.
Excellent. And you are still managing today, I guess?
Yes, we are. Yeah, it's still ongoing.
And what's their growth? What are they looking to grow to? Is still adding capacity, or?
Yeah. So they are still averaging about 300 terabytes per year, but there was a particular customer that they had to take on, which on its own was bringing in about 150, 200 terabytes in one particular year alone. That was a major online retailer. We're not allowed to talk about their name, but I think everyone has used them from multiple times. And that was a big concern when they were in the tender process for winning that deal. But at that stage, we had just gone live with Ctera, and they were able to just take them on immediately without any concerns, because we'd built them a petabyte scale solution. So I suppose to talk a bit about the deployment and the actual solution that we designed for them. So we placed the because they were spread across 5 countries and 7 offices. Rather than building Ctera in one of their data centers or one of their offices, we decided to put Ctera directly into Azure. But we didn't put the storage in Azure. What we ended up doing was moving the storage to Wasabi Amsterdam, and then having a replica of that data go to Wasabi UK. Now, one of their offices in the UK, so we were allowed to have the data in 2 different jurisdictions. The company was fine with that, but that just covered off the disaster recovery element to the solution. And the reason why we segregated out the Wasabi data is because Ctera has a really great feature called direct storage connection. And what that allows us to do is that the the laptops that have the Ctera sync agents on and the caching gateways that we deploy throughout the offices are able to talk directly to Wasabi in transferring the bulk of the data. It's just the metadata that is basically sent to Azure. So we bypass the egress fees from Azure. And plus, the Azure object storage is quite expensive compared to Wasabi as well. I think we were saving in around 90% on the storage costs, and then we were having zero egress fees. And we kind of budgeted that if the data had been in Azure, or we didn't have that direct storage option, storage option that the Ctera could do, talk directly to the object storage, we would be looking at maybe 40 to 60,000 a year in egress charges. So that was a huge saving that we were able to get for the customer, and it added up to that 500,000, I suppose, over a 3-year, between it and the reduction in their storage cost by not using Azure Blob storage. So in each of the offices, we deployed one of the caching gateways. Yeah. And they range in size from 16 terabyte caching gateways all the way up to 64 terabyte caching gateways. And that basically allowed the working data set to be locally cached in each office. And then by deploying 300 to 400 sync agents across all the consultant laptops, the data was able to be deduplicated, which is a big bandwidth saver, that we could deduplicate the data, compress the data, and ship it off to the cloud, and then it would end up in which office that it needed to go to be further processed. And then at the end of the process, when the data had to be shared back with the customer, we could share a secure link and give the customer direct access to download the data themselves. No more SFTP in the data around the place.
Securely.
Yeah. So as part of the tender process as well, we had to build the environment to ISO 27001 standards and CIS benchmarking standards. Okay. And to achieve that, we used Azure Defender for Cloud. So Defender for Cloud allows us to audit the environment against those policies. And then we're able to print off certificates every quarter and give to the customer and show that we are still basically maintaining the security of your environment to that standard. And then as well as that, Ctera has the FIPS 140-2 security certification as well. So that gives the customer as well peace of mind that the data is encrypted and is fully secure end-to-end in transit and at rest. So that was basically the overall design, using Azure, Wasabi, the caching gateways, and then the sync agents, basically.
Sounds like a large project. So how long did it take to implement?
Yeah, so when we won the tender, and these tender processes seem to take longer than they should, the IT manager came to us and told us that he had about 2 to 3 months worth of space left on his current SAN. And we needed to implement this as quickly as possible. So we got the bulk of the data uploaded into the Ctera platform within 8 weeks. And that basically alleviated his storage concerns. And then that just luckily coincided with them winning that huge contract with that online retailer. And that having to be able to onboard another 100, 150 terabytes in the coming 6 months was just something that we were able to take in their stride, because we just built them a petabyte scale solution. So it was just something that they didn't have to worry about, basically.
And how about them managing their budget and such like? Because I understand, because I do actually live with a CTO of a bank in London, and I do have the pain of his budgets as well. So how does that work with their budget requirements?
Yeah, so what we did was we helped Murphy Geospatial understand their overall storage costs, because what we found out during the project was that the IT costs were not basically aligned with the project budget costs. So when they're taking on a new customer, they weren't taking into account how much data they had to store, they had to back up, they had to protect. And then as well as that, the data has to be archived off to a secondary storage solution, the Azure Archive, for up to 7 years. Because at some point in that 7 years, the customer could come back and say, oh, we need to relook at something again, or we lost the original data, we need to regenerate it again for us. So all of this data has a cost. So using our kind of our SaaS solution kind of hat that we wear when we're building cloud solutions and we're trying to price them accordingly. We helped Murphy Geospatial basically cost their whole Ctera platform and their storage cost down to a price per gigabyte per month. And that was basically the Ctera subscription licenses, the Azure annual costs, our managed service cost, and the Wasabi storage cost. So we basically boiled it all down to a price per gigabyte per month. And that meant then when their sales guys were pricing up a new project with a new customer, they would have to estimate how many terabytes of data this project was going to generate and how many months was going to live in Ctera, and then how many months and years is going to live in the archive location. And based on that, they could take our price per gigabyte per month and they could work out and build into the cost of the project, the actual storage cost, and then they could put their margin on top. And that just meant then that our IT manager in Murphy Geospatial was free to expand Ctera to as large as he needed, because the cost of the Ctera solution is now embedded in their pricing model. So there's no more fighting between management and IT about I need budgets for storage. It doesn't matter. It's now basically built into their pricing model.
Yeah, absolutely. No going back with the begging bowl, asking for more budget. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, so it sounds like the outcome was a big success. Is there anything else you wanted to add with regards to that project, Larkin?
Yeah, so based on that as well, we with in conjunction with Ctera support, we helped build some scripts for Murphy Geospatial to analyze the data sizes of each of the projects. So basically in Ctera, they have their folder structure broken down by projects, by customers, and by projects. And using the data and the metadata that's stored in the database of Ctera, we were able to generate scripts for them to basically calculate how much data is currently being stored in each project, and be able to report that back into Excel for the management team to basically review the actual data storage versus the budget that was put in, and then that means that they're able to track their costs better. And that was just something that myself and the team in Ctera helped Murphy Geospatial do. And it's a scheduled task that runs every month and sends them a report with all that information in it, and that's been quite beneficial for them. And yeah, I think the solution's in place now over 2 years. And it has grown. I think it has nearly doubled in size since we have initially put it in, and they're absolutely delighted with it. Yeah, and the full service that we provide is end to end. So we liaise with Ctera on their behalf, so they just concentrate on doing what they do best, and we basically take care of the Ctera side for them.
Excellent. So it sounds like they can onboard customers very quickly without, you say, any cost constraints or any storage issues as they move forward. So yeah, it sounds great.
We've removed all of the storage constraints from their business, and their business was very much storage and data driven.
And also with reducing the cost by 50% over 3 years, that's a massive benefit, I guess, for the customer as well. So
no, the return on investment, and obviously our solution was much cheaper than the other ones in the market. But apart from being cheaper, it was actually still the best solution on the market. To all of the features that they needed, Ctera was able to deliver it.
Excellent stuff. So yeah, that's great to hear. We've got a happy customer, and they continue to grow, and through you guys as well, which is fantastic. Just wanted to say thank you, Larkin, for your valuable insights today. It's evident that our partnership has laid strong foundations and for continued success as well, because data is only going to go one way, which is up. And I'm excited to review the future possibilities that we have today. So before we conclude, is there anything else you'd like to share to our audience?
No, just we've been with Ctera, working alongside Ctera now for 11 years, I think, and it's been a great relationship. We have definitely grown as a business, and Ctera has helped us along the way, and their product is absolutely rock solid. It's it's very rare that we have a help desk ticket that comes in due to Ctera, where it's nearly exciting to see one come in. It happens so little. No, we've benefited greatly from the partnership with Ctera, and long may it continue.
Absolutely. No, thank you again for being part of today's session, Alcon. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the event, and obviously I look forward to working and having more success with Savenet as we move forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you.